Ash Wednesday is the beginning of Lent, that time of year when the church gives the 40 days leading up to Easter to recounting and reliving Jesus' journey through death to resurrection. The 40 days of Lent also recall his fasting and temptation in the wilderness before his public ministry, and the 40 years wandering of God's people in the wilderness after their exodus from slavery in Egypt. For many, Lent is a season characterized by the practices of fasting, self-examination, and the self-emptying of generous giving. On Ash Wednesday, the church tradition is to mark followers of Christ on their foreheads with ashes in the shape of a small cross. To do this at home, you will need to create your own ashes. I have found through extensive testing that the best form of ash for this purpose is from the burnt portion of a candle wick. You might try other forms, such as burnt paper with a bit of olive oil. I have a candle burning that I'm now going to blow out so that the wick will be ready for Adey and I at the end of our ceremony. You could pause the video here if you need to go and prepare ashes. Through the administration of ashes, we join with those stretching back in time who have said, I declare that something is wrong. The ashes symbolize the ultimate wrongness, the ultimate disfiguration, that is, death. We disfigure ourselves with the ashes to declare our recognition of and immersion into the ongoing disfigurations within ourselves and our world that are of a kind with those that led to the disfiguration of Christ on the cross. So, when we receive the ashes, we choose to enter into trouble. Personal, local, global, human, spiritual, material, social, relational. We say through the ashes that we will see ourselves as we are, and we will see the world as it is. We will not hide from ourselves the suffering, death, and injustice within and around us. We will enter into darkness. We do this to embrace solidarity with our world, and so that we can fully experience, yet again, the power of the resurrection of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. We go through the ashes into the tomb and come out with Christ, filled with his God-breathed life. Our Bible reading for the administration of ashes is from Isaiah 53, in which the prophet describes a servant of God taking on disfiguration as a first step in bringing God's help into a troubled world. Christians believe that Jesus embodied the kind of servanthood that the prophet describes. After the reading, Adey and I will administer ashes to each other, with the one administering them saying, remember that you are dust. Now receive God's compassion. So here's from Isaiah 53. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by others, a man of sufferings and visited by illness. And as one from whom others hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him of no account. Surely he has borne our infirmities, and for our sorrows he was carried. We accounted him stricken, struck down by God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the punishment that made us whole, and by his bruises we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have all turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. By a perversion of justice, he was taken away. And who can speak of where he lives? For he was cut off from the land of the living, stricken for the transgression of his people. But out of his anguish he shall see light, He shall find satisfaction through his knowledge. The righteous one, the servant, shall make many righteous, and he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore he will be allotted a portion with the great, because he laid himself bare to death, and was numbered with the transgressors. He bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
Remember that you are dust. Now receive God's compassion.
Remember that you are dust. Now receive God's compassion. We bless you as we journey into Lent together. Amen.